West Food Aid. Global Partnership for Education, 23-60% of Somaliland's population depend on livestock for their livelihoods, acute food insecurity, and water shortages due to consecutive failed rainy season. Yes, Somaliland's economic country status has made 4 to 8 slow and inefficient bioequity. More than 1 million are at risk of starvation. Somalia and Somaliland together are slowing down assistance. Lack of recognition is impeding international response. Aid is being coordinated through war ravaged more Kadeshi to Somali capital 900 miles to the south. Somaliland is eligible for loans or other assistance programs. Food aid is beneficial to local communities. Food in nations help farmers improve productivity and diversify crops and stimulates the local economy and contributes to improving food security and long-term programs that resulted in poverty reduction of 30%. Connection 2 is piracy. Somali piracy is resurging. Lockwood 24. Somali pirates are back. Government forces are locked in the Red Sea. There's been more piracy than at any point. UN anti-piracy measures expire. Piracy raises shipping costs and won't see previous levels. Pyramid cheating 24 raised power costs on the shipping companies, driving up prices for security insurance and ransom. The problem could escalate if we do not stop in its infancy. Indeed. Here on 24, Somali pirates have tactics sophisticated. They come in their dhows and strike targets 800 miles offshore. Pirates have more opportunities. Somaliland is critical to counter piracy with these investment. 4010. Recognition denies Somaliland assistance able to expand around Africa. It recognizes Somaliland and 4 to 8 international financial institutions and development assistance encourage FDI. And unfortunately, link to 11. Somaliland is trying to fight with the Ragtag Coast Guard and only 8 working vessels. Additionally, non-recognition of its cooperation, resources, and training is COPM 11. Somaliland borders the Gulf of Aden, joined by pirates. Collaboration, including use of force by other navies, is prevented by non-recognition to prevent states providing necessary assistance, including training and weaponry for divorce impacts spillover regionally. SM19. You recognize Somaliland incentivizes Somaliland to make progress in political institution building and reaches pirate infected. Otherwise, piracy shreds trade. Rusa 20. Somaliland piracy threatens incalculable damage to the world economy. Higher insurance, extra fuel on rebooting, the endanger the economic viability of shipping, disrupting international trade. Ukraine causes great power war. Brands when you want still good, makes it hard to keep the public happy. Fury up, upheavals. Leaders grab resources, making nationalism a crutch. Many follow when U.S. economic surge and in Washington engage in expansion, facing slowdown. Putin invaded 2 countries. France undertake military intervention. The fear of decline. A powerful motive for expansion. Extinction clear at 23. Great power wars, uniques, and other destructive technologies threaten extinction likelihood and severity makes this the most pressing problems. Growth in tech, bolstered arsenals, accidents where misunderstandings work, conflict that escalates, tensions cause leaders to fight them negotiate. C3 is diplomacy. Somaliland strategy for recognition is agreements like the MOU, Jack with 16 recognition strategy for Somaliland involves seeking patron states. No difficulty fighting candidates. Somaliland enter relationship into recognition, inter agreements with commercial undertakings, offer military bases, and purely fair God with 24. Somaliland is struck deals with foreign powers raising tensions. Somaliland's new president will push for it. Chairman 24. President gives special importance to pursue recognition for Somaliland. New government's first job. New deals for the MOU will push this over to break up 24. Africa still reeling from the MOU security landscape. The tinderbox, a small mistake caused rapid escalation. The MOU lives on Somaliland and Ethiopia strengthen relations. The firm results conflict forces diplomacy. Schwartz 21. The AU has demanded legitimacy to act authoritatively. The AU 2005 sent a fact-finding mission to Somaliland, findings favorable towards Somaliland. Somaliland have met 10 times to discuss Somaliland status, sustain mediation, overcome delays. Somaliland will be able to assist Somaliland with security challenges. The AU has mandated to mediate peace and determine sovereignty, compel Somaliland to negotiate independence. Amicable divorce is the most likely implementation. Chapter 16. Somaliland pursue amicable divorce with Somaliland. Required agreements on separation. Somaliland held court meetings. A patron instrumental in transforming discussions. Recognition is realistic. Evidence by an amicable divorce between Eritrea and South Sudan. An amicable divorce overcome AU opposition to separation. Negotiation is best choice for Somaliland unable to sustain a war. Herc 18. Somaliland's central government has been non-functional last resources for government institutions. Otherwise, the Afghan past Chapter 16 in Somalia upon recognition. The AU willing to make the first move has been to recognize already objections of Somalia's agreements would allow recognition without breaching the AU stances on territorial destruction. After recognition, Somaliland's attempts to legitimize itself and inflate the region. I think 24. Somaliland's a recurring cause of instability. Recognition crucial to stabilizing regional politics. The court deal will have exacerbated tensions of Somaliland was recognized. Somaliland has to appear as a legitimate state. National identity revolves around sovereignty, strive for recognition while unrecognized jeopardize peace. The important field exemplifies this to securitize itself. Somaliland making enemies. Somaliland has to appear as a state but must do so without engagement. Otherwise, conflict is inevitable and causes great power war. Army 24. Africa's on the cusp of a war cataclysm of a subception with Ethiopia access to the sea. MOU violation. Somalia's sovereignty tensions have escalated in the region. High mob conflict drawn its Red Sea states. All considered water essential for security. The U.S., China, and European have military presence, and Russia entered the region. A battlefield for global powers by disrupting maritime trade and their danger global trade. Cross applied clear 23 from the previous convention.
Okay. Just a bit of flex prep. Alright. Starting now. So y'all agree great power will cause extinction, right?
Yes.
How?
How?
Nuclear war?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. That was 8 seconds.
Is that speed fine? No.
What?
Yeah,
That was fine, that was fine. We'll probably go faster.
Yeah, that's okay.
Once again, clear too fast. Over.
We need to get
Attention, what is Djibouti? Regional tensions are calming after Turkey mediation with the Ethiopian MOU. Joseph 12:14. The Djibouti diffused tensions between the Addis Ababa and Mogadishu. Yusuf praised the peaceful resolution attention to support for Ethiopia's right to see access to the partnership and cooperation. Turkey resolved the issues united with the Ethiopian signing MOU in Somaliland. But the Africa ignites Somaliland and Djibouti tensions upsets the balance of power. Djibouti fears its ports monopoly is threatened. Jawad 24. Djibouti's opposition to challenge the status quo has long been defended. Djibouti adhere to the Somalia's territorial integrity, recognition of Somalia's independence, far-reaching consequences. Djibouti clear message about independence aspirations, disapproval, intensifies tensions. Econ cannot be overstated. Fierce competition for infrastructure investment. The region boasts of Djibouti and Somaliland to position themselves as key players, integrates domestic power struggle in Djibouti. Donali 24 impact on Djibouti can exacerbate tensions within the society among the Afar community. Revenue from ports, feeds, patronage relationships. President has built decreasing earnings, inflame internal power struggles over secession announcement. MOU severe political credibility, accelerating maneuvering factions emerge. And two impacts. First is war. Heath 19. Djibouti caught in the tug of war between global powers. Djibouti, the greatest risk of the Red Sea lies. U.S., China, Russia, secured military bases. U.S., China based rivalry, symbiotic, the larger rivalry has built by for influence. Djibouti's true powder keg crossed by their clarity. The evidence that any great power war goes cause extinction. Now impact 2 is terror. Djibouti's vital for counter piracy. No other base is sufficient. Rosen 13. Djibouti's influence to the west is will overstay from the Red Sea, possible monitoring Gulf of Aden, Indian Ocean, and the Suez Canal borders in Somalia. Stationing area for pirate attacks in the Indian Ocean. Attacks plummeted because NATO surveillance efforts to face in Djibouti. It's one of those underestimated military presence. Djibouti provides access for monitoring Somalia, surveillance, cover-ups, and monitoring Lamonia. Support efforts to curtail piracy. And military involvement has unique capabilities and military equipment to take the leads on all projects. This means you can cross by this as a turn on their contention about piracy. Now contention 2, civil war. Somaliland contention have simmered down. Mahmoud 24. Clans reject Somaliland and favoring Mogadishu. Risk of conflict remains no controversies. Override smooth elections, transfer power, cool tensions. Indeed, lack of recognition enables clan power sharing. As shown 21 finds that international community ignores Somaliland granted opportunity power sharing. End of Isaac dominated government resolving issues of representation. However, recognition would threaten the majority of clans, sparking civil war. Bombarded 22. Isaac is the clan in power for opposing clans to propose recognition because that will translate aid to the government, which will allow the Isaac to dominate the other clans' land. Currently, government only controls Isaac territory. Clans discussing civil war. All it takes is a few people and cut the red evidence. Now, war draws in great powers. 4 to 23. Fighting between clans up in the security. Al-Shabaab to capitalize. Draw in global regional powers for resources. China, Gulf states, Turkey. Somalia is at the center of the colossal mess of the competing interest conflict. When it's starting to spread across Flight 23. Now, condition 3 is Al-Shabaab. The new AU mission caps risks of Somali state failure following potential withdrawal with its fragile robs last month. The AU forces in Somalia ended December 31st. The federal government were at risk of collapse since the new mission is almost certain the risk is somewhat mitigated. Yet, considering the mission will operate as its predecessor did, the government might fall. However, Somalia disrupts AU forces in anger, and Somalia gets sidetracked by tensions with African states post-affirmative. Phillips 24. A deal under the agreement, Ethiopia to recognize Somaliland. Somali authorities is threatening to expel the Ethiopian troops helping to fight Al-Shabaab. The contradicts distract Mogadishu from the war. Its quarrel allowed Al-Shabaab to regain territory dispute with the delayed replacement of AU force fighting alongside the Somali military. That's critical. Somalis rely on outside help, funding, divided military, and low morale. Williams 24. The AU played a vital role against Al-Shabaab. Remain dependent upon external assistance. The army required more funding than the government can afford alone, and African mission withdrawal will take pressure off, enabling attacks on the army. Somalis figuring and leaders for the clarified structure of the government and countries. Member states Al-Shabaab forces and cohesive Al-Shabaab maintain higher levels of confidence and affirming breeds recruitment empirics. Williams 24. Al-Shabaab launched a recruitment campaign drawing on anger. MOU included Ethiopia's willingness to recognize Somaliland. Al-Shabaab capitalized on Somalis to stop Ethiopian interference and degrading Al-Shabaab is key to prevent another 9/11. Power 24. The Somali government is specifying operations with the international partner to bring Al-Shabaab as the U.S. interest and security interests of the demonstrated its intent to attack the U.S. homeland. FBI authority Al-Shabaab plot in 2019 to training the breach of conflict and extort targets in the U.S. This plot Al-Shabaab's capability to intend and strike the U.S. and Trump psychology ensures nuclear retaliation. ETL 16. Trump would experience a large narcissistic injury. Personalities would not have an ostrich for emergencies. Trump would exhibit rage and impulsivity, intent on destroying terrorists. Thin the malignant narcissist can leave no sight on ravage. 9/11 attack on the U.S. world would mean restraints on the WMD would be swept aside and barriers including popularity would be all-time low. And nuclear war caused extinction, trafficking, robot 19. Nukes end all life on Earth. The explosion blocks on life and little isolation, radiation, nuclear fallout.
Okay, I'm good for class whenever you are.
Yep.
So Dutch good? Okay, can I have the first question?
Go ahead.
Okay, so you say that Djibouti's opposition to the MOU was for economic purposes. So why does the MOU being under Somalia instead of Somalia that would change anything about the port situation?
No, the argument is that the AF allows the Somaliland to get recognized as a country, which means that now there's a direct competitor to Djibouti.
Okay, so
in terms
why
of
is
ports.
this port Berbera on Somalia not a direct competitor to Djibouti.
Wait, it is a no. That's our argument. It's a direct competitor, and that at post-affirmative, when you recognize it, more countries start using that port, which means that Djibouti's economy is threatened because almost all their economy is based upon the ports, and that the economics that flow through that specific port. So the second you introduce a regional competitor, it causes instability within Djibouti and also causes them to lash out all
Can I
these
have a
other.
really quick clarification?
But you've had a lot of questions. Can I have a question, please?
Okay, sure.
All right. Your argument about food aid. What's the link? Is it like the UN that Somaliland gets UN recognition, which is key?
We're just arguing that AU recognition is going to make it so that other countries, especially in the AU, are willing to send it.
Wait, but like what countries are sending the aid?
We argue that any countries, for example, the AU is.
The AU doesn't have any aid programs. Who
But
sends
also,
it?
like, we could argue that the UN or the IMF are going to send aid, where we just make the implication that like.
So
AU
your argument is that
recognition
IMF,
is
the IMF's going to send aid.
Sure.
Oh, sure.
Okay, at that point, can I have another question?
Sure.
So let's go back to Djibouti again. So why exactly is this port not a competitor under Somalia right now? Like, why does that? Somalia is a sovereign country too. This port's still under Somalia. Why is it not competing with Djibouti?
Wait, because currently, the port of Berbera, right?
Yeah.
Because not that many countries are using it right now because there's no recognition for Somalia.
Well, I know, but like that port, like technically is also under Somalia because Somaliland is under Somalia. So
Wait, what?
if it's under a recognized country, then why aren't countries using this port? Because like
Wait, no. So the port of Berbera is in Somaliland.
it's in Somaliland, but Somaliland is under Somalia's sovereignty, which is why the MOU has gone through again.
Well, Arvin
with
says that
separate
more
union
countries would
Somalia.
start using it because currently it's like a diplomatic gray zone because like the people don't know like whether or not it's actually recognized. Obviously, post-affirmative, there's more influx into the port of Berbera. That's what all the evidence and the literature indicates.
Okay.
Can I have a question?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Your argument about Okay. Your argument about piracy. What can you read me like any uniqueness evidence saying that Somali piracy is actually increasing?
Yeah, our evidence, the very first part, I believe, says that Somali piracy is the highest it's been in 6 years.
Highest it's been in 6 years, but like the evidence says in the line before that like in 2011 that's like when it was at its highest, like when there were like
I know,
over
but like
over
our
like
evidence
200
also
attacks,
isolates
and
is
you're
that, and the paramilitary evidence right under that is that the problem is going to escalate if we do not stop it.
so how much more does it have to increase to the point where like it causes slow growth?
We'd argue so far as there's enough disruptions in trade that it increase, and our evidence is pretty explicit about the brink. You can ask that.
How much? When does the brink happen?
I can't tell you exactly how much piracy causes it. It's the same idea as you can't tell me
Well, okay, there was
what
a 20.
exactly happens
Okay,
to the GDP.
piracy peaked in 2011. Why wasn't there a Great Power War?
Piracy peaked in 2011. The reason why there was no Great Power War was because intervening actors sold for it, but nobody's selling for it now.
Okay, that's cool.
I'm just gonna take some references now. Okay, that was great. I'll send the.
Sorry, can you also put it in speech form?
Oh yeah, I forgot to do the email. I did the speech.
Oh, yeah. Do you want me to put it in?
Yeah, I was listening to it.
Wrong photo. Sorry. This is not in its paraphrase, right?
No, like the rhetoric is just for me.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Is everyone good? Is that true? about Djibouti. First of all, the UK Constructive deviation will confirm Act Master and Post 24 December 24. This is from the 12th. Reports that the anchored revolution received mixed reactions to Egypt. The injuries and discontent. It's highly probable to witness a tangible outcome in Somalia. The declaration of local families and the transfer of Ethiopians and Djibouti not back from the enemy. Many gaps are unresolved. And secondly, look at again. Wars against Djibouti's interests, which will prevent our coalition drawn because it's much more likely. And as Athanasis March 24 writes that Djibouti's strategic priority, military harbor, and intelligence gathering, the walk of diplomatic harbor, the Red Sea crisis erupted. If Djibouti's economy is built around ports and survival and neutrality, the U.S. asked for operations. The government said no, we do not want war. Then thirdly, their poor evidence about Ethiopia like competing with specifically Djibouti. So if we prove that the MOU still attack, the definitely the argument is not unique. And fourthly, we say on the stuff about like it's key to naval and like piracy and like stop terrorism. It's a double bite. It's either A, if we would uniqueness of piracy and is increasing right now, then that just means that Djibouti is useless because it's not able to actually counter any of the current efforts right now because the pirates have evolved to counter Djibouti ports. Secondly, it just means Djibouti is not care enough to actually devote enough resources to stop back the arguments because they should have been doing it already. Then another reason why we say that this like, impact doesn't make a lot of sense is because even if there's one area that is not defended well, then those pirates just go there, for instance, which is why Somalia is not plugged at all, so they would still go. And then since we say that the Bellaire part is still under Somalia, it's still under Somalia because Somalia is not a recognized state, so the arguments are triggered already. Honestly, too about civil war. First of all, not only because Somalia is already in the civil war, but the argument is given by the international media reports that 100 people killed in a fight between Somali fighters of the Dahobati clan and Lhasa. 250,000 people were displaced in need of urgent humanitarian assistance. Secondly, the UN facility popular friend will solve any risks of war post Africa on the Drake's and Afghan analysis using UN's message to prevent conflicts in the Horn of Africa. There are 6 rights. The one-way resolving is only ritual would be a pure hero unit monitored popular friend on independence. Those unwilling under Somalian rule would have to make decisions. I was in China for the only way to resolve current and future clan tensions because clan tensions will always continue right because they always find reasons why the government's bad. Then the other four clans barely make up 20% of the population are mostly in poverty. Do not have the capacity to wage a full-scale war. Wilson 24 writes that Somalia declared independence in 1991, 80% of the population made up of the ISIS clan, which is the ones who want independence as per their own argument. Fourthly, their uniqueness is wrong. The uniqueness is not taking into consideration that ISIS clan is no longer running the government. This turns apart our argument because it means that you can't actually unequally distribute the aid because not the people are still in the government in the first place. Horn of the 24 writes that for the first time, our clans such as Guru, Atusho, Tel, and Wahab have been given full ministerial roles. It also includes representation of Eastern clans and Seoul and Snark also means that people are no longer discontent with independence because they know for a fact the government will still protect their interests. And then finally stuff like specific to the link about like aid being given to the government, which is why it triggers the argument. First of all, NGOs can also be given aid, which stumps the entire argument because it just means that like the NGO would not be going through the government, and then there's also going to be mechanisms in place to prevent unequal distribution of countries order to come in and give the aid in the first place. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Honestly, about Al-Shabaab. First of the unique is Al-Shabaab on the rise and emphasis is otherwise only on short-term declines and missions already happened, so solvency is limited. Shipping 24 writes that Al-Shabaab counterattack by taking cosload, killed schools and soldiers, beheaded civilians, and gave Al-Shabaab courage. Then, specifically onto the link about on the stuff about Austin specifically, which is the mission that they're talking about, unique internet because lots of funny Austin are Achilles heel and precursor to mission success. And also for rights, but Austin funding has been a bone of contention less than a week from its started. U.S. rejecting concerning racism, huge implications for security in Somalia and the entire Horn of Africa. The reason was determined because of Affirmative U.S. strategic collaboration with Somalian key player against Al-Shabaab program versus solvency. Bureau 22 explains that according to the coalition, U.S. Somaliland trying to say that recognize Somalia append U.S. relations with the U.S. African Union, which does not recognize Somaliland Democratic Party in the region, will willingly serve another base for the U.S. They may come here and say that it's going to foster more improvement, but this is not true. In the past, the other countries have gone in before other peacekeeping operations to Ethiopia and the U.S. and we never see increased improvement. We just saw Al-Shabaab actively on the decline, so the recruitment doesn't make a lot of sense. If we think about it logically, the people don't want Al-Shabaab in the region, so why would they join Al-Shabaab in the first place? This argument always on China, also always on Tiger because the U.S. wants to go and recognize, they just don't want to be the first one because they'd be seen as imperialistic. Then on the recruitment specifically, first of all, not Ethiopia is already confirmed that they don't offer anything awesome. Prefer because of the condition ways people on population and other aspects of the unsolved for the troop back. Ethiopia writes that Ethiopia will not take part in awesome regional partners, places without a love that troops suggesting security backing free about other allocations of food should have been in place since November listed as Uganda, Kenya, Djibouti, and Burundi. And then somebody looking again, Ethiopia's MOU remains intact and information is nothing for imposes constitution for reports of Somalia's agreement to grant Ethiopia access to sea recognition remains intact despite Somalia and Ethiopia's deal. And then finally, on quickly some way, we see that our argument about C3 always all the arguments is assaults on the period because it just no instability, there's no way for Al-Shabaab to film the power vacuum, and there's no like civil war could be solved, and no Djibouti station instability. I'll send it more.
I'll wait for them now.
Is it like did you paraphrase or is it like
It was
just the
better.
right?
No, they're better just for me to read.
It's correct.
It's for this quotes. Yeah. I'll first send in the speech draw, and then I'll send it in the chain. It's in the speech draw. It's now in the chain.
Is there analytics that are on the top?
They they mostly should be, and I can take like clarifying questions without deletion.
Wait, yeah, so can you just...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like the analytics are on the doc.
So there are none that are not on the doc?
Let me just double check.
Okay.
I mean, there's like some like there's just like one statement. Like, do you want me to like type the complete thing or like the? Because like one is just like the revert report is still under Somalia, but like I made an implication that was further.
I think they might have flooded it.
What was the implication?
The implication was just like if it's under Somalia or because even if it's like near Somaliland, if it's Somaliland is not recognized as a state, so still theoretically Somalia, it should trigger your argument already because like people didn't gone to the port.
Okay.
And then the other like the can't stop plugs, like y'all got that, it's just like it's Somaliland.
Yeah, if you can't, yeah.
Yeah. On Civil War, I don't think the only like analytic was like NGOs can also solve, but I think that's self-explanatory, right? And then on C3, the only analytic was like there's not going to be increased recruitment because perhaps the U.S. has done it before and the people haven't gone in. It's on the very bottom of the doc, the last sentence, like no increased recruitment. I think that should be it, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. But,
But, I don't
Dude, it takes a second. Yeah.
oh shoot, I forgot to cut something off my doc.
I'm pausing prep, just tell us the card.
It's the Ruthie's advantage that she
Yeah.
didn't read.
Hold on, what?
It's like this whole econ thing, Ruthie's advantage, and it's like all the
I'll
blue
just sound
fighting.
like a better doc.
Wait, so you didn't read
She didn't read any of that.
any responses to the email?
Like the stuff that's A2 econ link Hootie's advantage.
So the Maddox, Ruben, and the one before as well.
Yeah, she just read the
Yeah.
analytics.
What were the other ones?
That was the
Wait, it's all
on
in the doc.
piracy. She just like cross-applied analytics on piracy.
That's fine. We're gonna resume.
Alright, cool.
How much was
2 minutes.
Oh, I got 134.
134.
Maybe I timed wrong.
Oh.
They're like, I originally like one at a time.
What's that on?
There might be a car we read, but we'll like send it.
Yeah, you can, yeah, that's fine. If possible, if it's not, you just like slow down the tags for that.
Yeah. Switch it on. Is everybody there?
What's the order?
Order is my case, your case.
Okay.
Sovereign Civil War will concede the dealing that it's never escalation, they get no impact off of this. Also will concede that they're giving aid right now that NGOs can give aid, which completely takes out their can everyone about food aid because it means that NGOs can give food aid in the status quo. There's no reason why, for example, the UN World Food Program, which doesn't even give aid specifically to recognize states, can't do it in the status quo. On Djibouti. First, they say that Turkey mediation fails. The evidence is not good. It just says that there's like gaps in the Ankara declaration. The people aren't happy. That doesn't mean that the governments are actually going to give up on it, given that they don't want to go to war. But the act forces them to go to war because Djibouti perceives that their trade is completely cut off because Ethiopia is going to have all of their trade routed through the port of Berber instead. They tell you that the war is against Djibouti's interests. We tell you that it's existential. Djibouti, literally all of Ethiopia's trade because their landlocked goes through Djibouti, which means that they lose all the economic advantage post the affirmative because Ethiopia gets supported Somaliland. Then they say the part of it is about Ethiopia. Yes, that's what our argument is. Then they say that they double by that Djibouti's useless. No, that's not true. Like if Djibouti's port is key to piracy, our evidence is very specific. They tell you you can't solve all plugs. We'll concede that, but that takes out their argument about terror because about piracy. Because if there's a single plug along the coastline, that means that pirates can just attack that coastline. That's what they said in their own speeches. They can never solve our piracy because they only solve for Somaliland. Then they tell you that Berber reports still under Somaliland. That's incoherent. There's no reason why post recognition it's going to be under Somaliland. On the next argument, let me scroll. On Al-Shabaab, their uniqueness evidence is terrible. All it says is that there's one empirical people fighting, but before you should prove our evidence is Kyagi 24 explains that there's been a decline in the activities of members of the terrorist group Al-Shabaab linked to cooperation between security forces and local communities. There's been a 60% reduction in attacks in the 4 countries, but for our evidence because it gives you actual numbers. They just cite one attack. There's definitely doesn't prove that Al-Shabaab's on the rise. And tell you that lack of funding is bad, but we say that post-recognition there's an increase in funding because the UN sees that like tensions that are like resolved and there's no longer such a conflict. Then they tell you that it incentivizes the US to fight. There's US has never worked in the past. Then they tell you that on recruitment they tell you that Ethiopia is already expelled. Our argument's not that Ethiopia get expelled, it's that AU troops in general get expelled. Then they tell you that ME is in attack. That's not true. The MOU isn't being followed through right now. There's been months and nothing has happened. Go to their case.
So it's in the recruitment link?
The recruitment link is like very simple. They basically didn't respond to it. They just read non-unique, but it's not specific to our argument, which is that post the MOU, which is essentially a mini version of the app, we saw increased recruitment because Somalis are super nationalistic and hate Somaliland. Go to their case. First, on food aid. Food aid is weaponized by governments and rebels to exacerbate civil conflict. As a 2023 statistical study across 125 countries found an increase in food aid, increasing conflicts, aids, attractive target for armed factions, and targeting specific populations, excluding opposition groups, increased hostilities and promote conflict. Yemen, for example, found has been looted and used as a tool to exempt conflicts. On pirates. First, their boasting exists from 2011. You definitely shouldn't buy. They definitely have boast now. Second, the piracy impact is bad. It won't research back to pirate levels. Security measures deter piracy overall down. Hancock 24. Research to the level of the decade ago thought like the security measures remain in place to act to deter the number of pirates taking kids has diminished as leaders in trafficking. This is a non-excited increase anytime too. And piracy is on the decline. We posted by month. 1.17. Piracy attacks have decreased, which has 8 reported incidents in 2024 compared to 12 in 2023. Preferred uses we give evidence data. They say my escalate. There's no warrant or proof. They give new tactics. Obviously, counter piracy as new tactics too. Also, turn. Recognition is the root cause of increased piracy. MOU proves Sing 24. Connection between rising pirate attacks and agreement signed between Ethiopia and Somalia. Al-Shabaab goes attack. Increase in piracy attack by Al-Shabaab in general. It is no because of this hijacking and progress. First of all, Somaliland is serious held for as a plot to undermine the process and ability for maritime law enforcement. Go to diplomacy. There are evidence about Somaliland doing new deals from 2016. They haven't seen any of the impacts. Also, our Dalmar evidence, which is the most recent in the round, says that Syria may bring a professional perspective, rejection, confrontational, militaristic approach, and recognition through unilateral agreements. Voters go weird diplomatic follow from the MOU. Their only evidence about this is from Cheeman. Cheeman just says that the president is pursuing recognition. It doesn't do the analysis. Then the president actually doesn't want to do recognition. Do like things like the MOU and unilaterally are super militaristic because the voters don't want that anymore. We actually do the incentive analysis. Also, Reuters 24 explains that Wall Street signal broad support for Pac with India. We could be more open to dialogue with Somalia's government. Cut the card there. Also, Amicable Divorce has dumped their evidence from 2016. Also, reject Afghan pass because instant a resolution happens instantly. They can't say the Afghan pass. It's not how PF works. Also, no. It's in the solution doc. I'm sending in the email, but we can start class.
Once I open it, I think we're just going to do a little bit. It's this right.
Yeah, it's fair.
Time starts. Are you good for cost?
Yeah. How much is that?
That was 18, so we took total opposite.
So how much do you have left?
Yeah, two.
201.
You know the first question.
Yeah. Which evidence of yours says that the MOU like triggered people getting recruited?
Looking at that. Do you know what it is? I literally can't even find the doc in the book.
Yeah. That's a Williams 24 evidence, which says that Al Shabaab launched a recruiting campaign
Yeah.
after the MOU, which proves that the AF, like
There's two Williams
because like Al Shabaab is like Al Shabaab hates
It
Somalis.
says like it launched, but like how many people actually joined?
I mean, we
Yeah,
can't.
you just
we
said like
Right.
most
aren't
recently.
like I'm
they
not
launched.
part of Al Shabaab. I can't.
Well, like
give
if you read the
information.
fine text of evidence, it says they put the numbers of Al Shabaab fighters at, like from 7,000 like 12,000. I think it's like a substantial increase.
Yeah,
Also,
something
like
that.
we're not obligated to like give you an
Wait,
exact
no, it shows
number.
a decline, right? Like it says like from 2011 to 2000, then it jumped from 20.
Yeah,
2011
2022 is
and now
between
it's-
4,000
and
and
now it's
7,000.
4,000 and
No,
7,000.
it says 2022 between 4,000 and 7,000.
2024
January 2024 between
7,000 and 12,000, which shows that like
So
the
an increase of
MOU
like 5,000.
triggered it.
3,000 to 5,000.
Yeah, but okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Go to your argument on food aid. You say NGOs can send food now. Are they sending it?
Sure, that just takes out your weaponization because it means NGOs have much more, like, for instance, like measures in place to like stop weaponization. Because they do different things. They
Wait,
do
so
this thing called like
NGOs are
they do this thing called like cash exiting, where instead of the government giving directly to, or sorry, governments giving directly to other governments, the NGOs will just give it to the people, so it foresees the government aspect, which is how it gets weaponized in the first
Sure,
place.
we'll contest that, but like,
Sure.
if NGOs are giving food aid right now, why are you unique?
We'll explain that in speech. Can I take your question?
Wait, no. Can you just answer the question?
Okay, I mean, like, it's unique because it's, like, not enough money, right? Like, the more recognition, more NGOs would come.
Wait, why?
It's a
If
scalar.
NGOs are allowed to do it, why is it scalar? Like,
Because-
explain to me why recognition is key to NGOs coming in. If NGOs don't really operate on like investment, they want to save people's lives. Why aren't they doing it right now?
Well, it's because, well, some of them, like, just can't, like, go in because there's legal frameworks in place. Other NGOs have been able to bypass it. Can I take a question?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about, like, Djibouti, for instance. So we both agree that the ports are very important to their, like, statehood, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't war, like, in a world where there's competition, you can still get some of it, it's just less, right? Less of that trade on the port.
Oh, it is very substantially less.
But it's
Ethiopia,
still
like
something.
95% of Ethiopian trade goes through Djibouti ports right now. If Ethiopia gains access to the port of Berbera in Somaliland, who they're trying to ally with, they're probably going to substantially.
So wouldn't
reduce
war,
its
like,
exports.
eliminate some of the ports in the first place because of, like, infrastructure, like, you know, like, loss and, like, people, like,
Sorry,
lost?
what
So
do you mean
wouldn't
by
that be-
war?
Well,
what-
like, your argument is that Djibouti would go to war. If, even in a world
mean,
where they,
Djibouti
wait,
is
no,
not,
can I really
like,
quickly,
yeah.
right? Like, in a world where, like, they have competition, sure they lose some of their profits, but in a world where they have war, they lose, like, all the infrastructure, they can't even do anything in the first place. So wouldn't you say that's more
To be
existential?
clear, our argument is about a domestic power struggle in Djibouti. We are not saying Djibouti is going to attack the Somaliland ports.
Wait, that's
but, like,
not, that's
launching-
fine, but, like, still war, like, it can obstruct.
No, because our
infrastructure.
argument is
Oh,
that groups within Djibouti get angry, so it causes like some kind of coup.
Yeah, like maybe
which
the
leads them other
government
people-
doesn't have an incentive to do it.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the government. We're talking about internal like
Like, all of
patronage
these rebel
systems.
groups are not
Patronage
gonna
systems
predict-
are
oh.
like ruined by the fact that the monopoly is gone, which means that there's
Yeah,
internal
we'll
power
take a
struggle.
question.
Oh, is that?
Is that cost?
Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna start, sorry.
start my case, weighing their case. Let's see one of NGOs. We can see that NGOs are sending aid right now, which means that the turn has no impact because it's gone. There's no way either. Also, NGOs have cash exiting policies. But secondly, on piracy, we're going to be conceding the uniqueness that piracy is really low right now. At that point, it means you don't actually need any action in the first place. They've also conceded the length and evidence which shows you that there's no ability in Somaliland to solve the status quo in the first place, so that's all office. But secondly, even if recognition is true, pirates will always apply in other places and want money. At that point, go to C3 diplomacy will be extending the argument. Jackal 16 points that Somaliland is signing inflammatory agreements like the MOU to try gaining independence. Fortunately, the AU's authoritative recognition of sovereignty would force diplomacy between Somalia and Somaliland, dispelling otherwise inevitable tensions. Absent recognition, Somaliland's actions provoke Somalian nuclear actors after resources will be drawn in. The conflict completion will cause nuclear war and extinction. They have 5 responses. First, they say that the Somali people will post confrontational approach to recognition. Group that with this thing about the president. That's our entire argument. The people, the reason why there's instability in the first place is because the president is trying to sign new agreements to diplomatically get recognition, which is making the entire region enslaved. That's basically what our argument is. Secondly, they see that FIAT can't pass. If we can prove that this is probable implementation because the AU has the inherent incentive to prevent conflict and to mediate between Somalia and Somaliland in the first place, that definitely means that it's probable implementation. Now, we definitely get access to this in 2016. They say our uniqueness is old, but they don't have any counter evidence. And so far as we prove that, Somalia is willing to do the dialogue under Somalia's terms, which is uniquely what happens under popular referendum, that means our case is pretty clean. So, we won our case. All we have to do is win the weighing in order to win the debate. They have conceded Jessica's prereq out of the last speech. Remember, diplomacy can still back for other arguments because the only reason that Al-Shabaab rises against recruitment is either that Awesome's gone, where there's no recruitment, where there's power backing, but the moment that you decide to still back for the diplomacy, that means there's no instability happening because the AU is modifying in the first place. This is so conceded, which definitely means it's also terminal to their case because we're preventing any of their impact. The second we are also prereq to their argument to because so far as we were able to prevent any instability from breaking out in the first place, that definitely makes it so that you're pretty satisfied too with popular referendum. That's literally conceded. Also, always on time frame because of the fact that meetings have happened, for example, in the past with popular referendums such as South Sudan and Eritrea, as well as the fact that Somalia itself have been talking in the past, which definitely means we're always on time frame because it's going to take really quick to actually start the whole thing. All of their arguments are worse notice. It definitely takes a very long time to start. You have to mobilize troops. The government has to shut down Djibouti first. You don't know when the argument's happening. At that point, go to C1 of Djibouti first. Because extend the fact that wars against Djibouti's interests. March 24 writes that Djibouti's strategic priority is to walk the diplomatic tightrope, which is why they have so many bases in the first place. They see that as existential, and other groups are starting a war, but even if people start a war, the government will definitely shut it down. It's just good for its economic and political interests. The whole point of Djibouti is an economic point, it's a strategic location. So far that's true, but they will also stop piracy if it's against their interests in the first place. The second C. Move on to C2 of Al-Shabaab. What they conceded is that Awesome has a lack of funding. That's a precursor to the success in the first place. So far, it does not have funding. That definitely means that this is not going to be successful. Al-Shabaab is just going to rise in there. However, we're going to extend the turn at whatever you have the AU that recognize, definitely incentivize the U.S. to recognize too. So the U.S. is not afraid of attention to the first. They just say that U.S. has never worked in the past. U.S. has never been there in the past, and its counter-terror operations have worked in the past. Also, I think this MOU remains intact, but for me, changes nothing.
Was there a response to Djibouti last week?
Just the wars against Djibouti's interests. So even if the plan started a war in the first place, that definitely means
the government will shut it down because
the
of the interest, and also that
military bases and other countries are going to help this way.
Is that it? That's in there?
No, and then the logic also applies to piracy. If piracy is against economic interests, they would stop it regardless of what's wrong.
Yeah, that's cool. neg.
Djibouti is stable now. Djibouti's uniqueness conceded. Firstly, that Djibouti currently has a monopoly over all the ports because Somaliland is not recognized. Secondly, that Turkish mediation is solving the status quo. But the Affirmative reverses all these in two ways. First of all, it causes internal instability, which draws in great powers. Because the argument is that when Somalia gets recognized, that means that all the trade goes through Somaliland instead of Djibouti, which causes revenue loss in the ports in Djibouti, which causes the elite who control those ports to become very, very mad. Decided especially that there's patron systems that would cause internal groups inside of Djibouti to cause internal instability. These are all conceded warrants that were not responded to. Their only responses in the last speech was that it's against their interest. Sure, it's against the government's interest. We have not read evidence the government's able to stop all these insurgent groups, and in fact, I think the empirics of the fact that Africa, just in general, like there are insurgent groups that have been very successful, like Al-Shabaab, should prove the fact that these instabilities can definitely cause great power draw. And now they conceded the Heath 19 evidence that even if the government quells it in the long run, in the short term, what happens is that the region becomes unstable because when there's literally a civil war going on in Djibouti that causes all the great powers to have a bunch of bases there, like China, the US, to get drawn in because they are fear that their bases are gone. This causes a drawing, which causes the best link to nuclear war. Now, before this one on time frame, there's always a lot of piracy on their case and also a lot of instability, but no reason, no idea of how when it's actually going to happen. But our scenario triggers immediately after you affirm these great powers. Immediately, it's perceptual because great powers think they're going to lose their base in Djibouti, which increases the chance of confrontation. Time should be the tiebreaker between two different extinction scenarios. If you think there's two extinction scenarios, you should always vote for us because extinction only happens once, which means that if we all die now, it doesn't matter now. Two turns case because Djibouti port collapse causes a decrease in existing anti-piracy firms, which is a turn on their case, and three probability is the MOU has caused tensions, but they have not proven to you how Somaliland looking for MOUs has empirically triggered war. Well, our scenario is about war. They just talk about instability, but we can say that tensions can be quelled, but you cannot quell down a war that is happening now. Also, independently, Turkish mediation conceded means that you classify this as defense, terminal defense to the affirmative. It means that no matter how much instability happens, Turkish mediation is always able to solve back. So uniqueness conceded on this connection is terminal defense in their case. On terrorists, there's no like impact extended that kicks out of the term because they don't let them go out there and wait to the next speech. Now on food aid, sure, they conceded to go on connection 2. They dropped the link term about how pirates retaliate. How they dropped the uniqueness which would have constraint term this connection that currently piracy is down. However, under the world, the affirmed pirates retaliate against recognition and increase attacks. Clean drop uniqueness fires down now. Drop the term, which means that it's a straight term of their argument. This straight term of all their argument. They say there's no capacity to solve. Sure, if you can't solve that, means you need to solve the root cause of it, which is the pirates increase attacks in the first place, and then we co-opt their impacts about how increased piracy slows down trade, which also causes great power war. It's an independent link that's basically completely conceded, which is why you can vote for us on straight link. Now go to condition 3. There are all their evidence about President Bihi who lost the election last year. Our evidence from last month does a governmental analysis. It's just a new president, Ciro, and people are tired of militaristic unilateral actions like the MOU. This is generic evidence of Somalia's past strategies for recognition. It's from 2016. We indicate the new president was elected because he's moving away from it, and no new response to this warranty about this because it was literally not in the last speech, and it's the only impact, and also the only impact we repeated Somaliland deals. We have doesn't matter because we have one that it's just tensions. Tensions don't escalate. The fact that we are not all dead right now proves that the affirmative uniqueness scenario takes forever to trigger, and you don't know when it happens. Which cross by on the way from Djibouti, we're winning the impact scenario. We're winning the weighing. So much conceded like link turns and like just offense for us. Vote for the neg.
Yeah. Can you ask the first question?
Yeah.
What's your way as to why your tantrum happens first? Or was there the warranty?
Yeah, 2 warrants for it. First of all is that the MOU tensions have been happening for a long time. Like your evidence cites like 2016. So we think that the chances of that happening is a lot slower than like great powers getting drawn in because Djibouti has not
That's
been.
not our argument. Our argument is not the singular Ethiopian MOU is what triggers it.
Yeah.
Our argument is that
Even it's not a singular MOU. The fact that there have been historically so many MOUs that have been happening and none of them are triggered.
Tensions. Every increase in tensions is like conflict, and so far as like we can handle that the MOU is also still intact. Tensions are non-neat for both sides, so eventually both of our scenarios will happen. Time frame doesn't matter insofar as you've mishandled the fact that the MOU is intact because Turkish mediations failed, which means in both worlds there will inevitably be some kind of war. Doesn't matter when, it just will happen.
When we concede Turkish mediation, we extended Turkish mediation on our case and
yeah, and we also
to
said that the MOU right now is still intact. It postdates your evidence, so it means Turkish mediations failed.
The MOU being intact doesn't mean it's going to actually.
It does, because the whole point of the Anchor
The MOU is a
Declaration was to remove
memorandum
the
of
MOU.
understanding. It's not a legal contract or agreement.
That's how Somalia views it. So if for the Turkey Declaration to work, the Anchor Declaration, the MOU must not still be there. Otherwise, if the MOU is still there, your Djibouti thing will eventually trigger because it's still competition to your thing. It doesn't matter if it's going to trigger faster or longer in your world. If it triggers,
I think it does matter though, right? Like
it does not.
Wait, how many times can extinction happen? Like if we're all dead, like okay, sure, maybe they go extinct again.
Our argument is that both sides will eventually lead to extinction unless something different happens. The difference is potentially essentially AU diplomacy, because otherwise you can maybe die like 1 day faster in their world. Doesn't matter because you still die in their world. But the only chance you can actually live is not in the neg, it's in the affirmative, because otherwise tension will inevitably lead to the conflict. That is a tried analysis and why it outweighs time frame that yesterday you did not respond to. You dying quicker does not respond because it still concedes that you will die in both worlds eventually.
Wait, if you
That
dri- if you
was a
die
great
in
speech and
both-
all, but like, can we have a question?
Yeah, if you die
alright,
both
cool.
worlds eventually, then just pick the
Unless you
one
affirm, because the
Wait,
uniqueness.
okay. My question is like, okay, let's say inevitably I die in 10 years. Well, like I die in 10 years, right? But if I do the affirmative, I die in 1 day.
Wait,
Sure,
no.
maybe I eventually, we all inevitably die.
Except
Why does it
for the
matter?
affirmative,
Wait,
because
but
the
you-
affirmative
but you
changes
also-
But it
the
doesn't,
status
because
quo.
Wait.
but you kill everyone
I know,
in 1
but
day.
you,
It's
wait,
affirmative
wait a
changes
second, but you
the
also conceded our link wing on time frame. Our time frame was weighing link the fact that diplomacy happens really quickly because historically South Sudan and Eritrea happen really quickly with the
Wait, why
AU.
does, okay, yeah,
With
that
second
is my
happens
question,
quickly
right?
because
Okay, let's assume the
Somalia
AU,
had already had meetings. so
you
they
haven't
had
answered,
meetings
like,
for
I've tried to ask a
for-
question for like 2 minutes now.
Okay, you got a
Like-
question.
Like, why is it like just because the AU solves this so-called instability, how does that solve our scenario that is about a civil war?
Well, yeah,
How can the AU mediate between civil actors when it is specifically used to intermediate between interstate conflicts, not intrastate conflicts?
Yeah, to be clear, your argument is that the AU will negotiate between Somaliland and
Can you just answer the question?
Yeah,
The evidence
yeah.
set.
So when you mediate tensions there, it increases stability because it's not just taking Somaliland's perspective; it's taking everyone in the region because everyone is
Wait,
a state.
but I get
The
that,
state
but how does the AU resolve a civil conflict which is inside the state?
But you also
Because the reason why Djibouti would have the civil conflict is if the ports would be threatened. If we prove that the AU can sit everyone down and mandate so there's
Wait,
agreements for
wait, so
everyone.
wait, how does the AU
bad
say,
analysis,
wait,
but it
how
was
does AU diplomatic saying stuff resolve the economic tensions that exist?
The economic tensions come from Djibouti losing ports because of competition.
So how does the AU resolve that?
It resolves that by establishing ways that the Somali can have the kind of port access and also ensures that Djibouti can still have the port access.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
No counter argument.
Yeah. I'll just. Is everyone good?
Yeah.
The debate ultimately comes down to a uniqueness debate. If we improve either the MOU is still intact, that means A, the Turkish mediation is on the net low, and also B, means that it's the link to their argument. Their uniqueness is the MOU is currently down, so the MOU is high. That means Djibouti will eventually lead to some kind of conflict in their world, and that means that the only chance you can actually live is not with the negative, because you'll eventually die either way. It's only through the affirmative. We can prove to you that A diplomacy is the only way out. It doesn't matter if you lose the time because you will die in both worlds, so the only chance of actually living is in the affirmative world where we have this slight chance. Even more so, all their time frame weight is on the impact level. Our weight was the link level, which supersedes theirs, because it means that our trial will happen first. Our link is that their argument about getting all these tensions going to conflict will take too long because they have to mobilize all the resources and get the people to be all on board, which takes a very long time because it's more people at once. But our argument is that the A can just mobilize, sit everyone at a table just like we are right now, and then just figure it all out, which has worked in the past for Eritrea, for instance, which is why, for instance, it happens a whole lot faster. At that point, extend the trial, which is on our case about diplomacy, extend the argument. Our argument is that the Somali, like they want recognition, but it's not under Somali terms, so they don't like it. So, for instance, the AU would come in with the diplomacy because it's in their own interest to like actually prevent any kind of increase in tensions, prevents all out war because there would be conflict in the region, leads to great power drawing, and the cross supply we go for the same impact of great power drawing. Okay, at that point, the only response to the president is doesn't want to do confrontation. Does not respond to the argument. It doesn't matter. They don't want confrontation. Our front line was that it's still not under Somalia's terms. They still do whatever. It's not against Somalia, which that means Somalia will still be upset. And that way, our answer to us doesn't matter because the president still presumes things not working with Somalia on it. On the quick turn about the link stuff, we say that it doesn't matter so much. They can see the small implication that Djibouti will still have interest to do. Power systems of Djibouti will still solve back in their world, so it takes up the link sufficiently. Then let's go into the Djibouti argument though. And so for us, since the MOU is still intact, because our evidence from literally just a few weeks ago, which posted all our evidence and also shows that the Turkish mediation is not successful because there's still gaps in the region, does not include how argument basically dying in either world. But second, Djibouti does not want the war in the first place, which is important because governments will control the elitists. It's against their own existence, of course, which means they'll stop it. They say it's possible for them to stop it. No, it's so easy. Like you can just use corruption. Djibouti is not a democratic state. You can just use all of what they want, which means that you'll still be able to solve it. You can't solve anything in their world. Remember, it's very simple. You die in their world because they have conceded non-union. It's so mishandled. But the only way to live is the firmness you affirm.
Orders neg af weighing in between. Af will start on the turn. Is everyone ready? Extend Djibouti. Djibouti has a monopoly over ports now. We're going to the Turkey Mediation League rather than Somaliland. We're not going to the Turkey Mediation League, but rather than Somaliland overcomes the monopoly. Our argument is simple. Currently, they have a monopoly. There's patronage groups that are tied to the ports. But once Somaliland gives a port to Ethiopia, it takes away the monopoly, which means that Djibouti doesn't have that anymore, which causes internal strife within the country, which inevitably draws in countries that are interested. We both go for great power war. Let's say nuclear, let's say extinction. It's a debate between extinction. They say our time. Wait, let's just handle the defense first. The only defense is that the MOU is intact now. I urge you to read the evidence. Just because the MOU is intact doesn't mean that the deal will actually follow through. It is not a signed agreement. Our argument is simple. We have read actual uniqueness that Turkish mediation solves that relations are good now. They can just say that the MOU is intact. It doesn't actually mean that there will be war. Insofar, just because a piece of paper wasn't thrown in the trash doesn't mean that the piece of paper will suddenly ignite a nuclear war. Also, they say the government retaliates. That magnifies the link because if the government retaliates on those insurgent groups within Djibouti, it actually causes more strife. There's no reason why the government can stop civil war from happening. And even if they can stop it, it draws in other countries who take advantage of instability. That's been the link the entire time. The wave is very clean. They've dropped the time frame wave, which is that there's conflict imminent. Whereas you never know when the MU instability actually triggers. They tell you that our stuff is purely impact level, but no, it's link level 2. If you have instability now, probably thumps negotiation, and there's no reason why negotiation actually solves the conflict. They've also conceded as probability because we have never empirically seen how the MOU actually causes war. If we're debating between extinction and you evaluate on time frame and probability, and time frame is super messy, then you probably vote on probability because it's clean conceded. On their argument. First, they've conceded the counter-piracy term, which is that post-recognition, there's increased attacks on the shore because the Al-Shabaab does not actually want Somaliland to get recognized because of nuclear war, because trade goes down, great power war. On their case, they've clean dropped that the president is more peaceful. Also, AU negotiation is about Somaliland and Somalia. It's not about Djibouti and Ethiopia. You do not give them access to the prereq when there's no warranty done as to how these two countries somehow are cross-applied to internal conflict within Djibouti or Somaliland.
But president's peaceful.
President is peaceful. Their evidence is from 2016. It's not specific. There.
Okay, I'm ready to discuss. So, first thing, so we're gonna on the rounds that just don't do another rounds. Don't talk during each other's speeches because it's that person's time to speak and you're not allowed to help out during that time. And for you guys, the paraphrase, and it's not paraphrasing, it's combining the words together. That's completely abusive because there could be something in the middle of that sentence that just completely, you can't just cherry pick the words and put them into a sentence together because there could be something in between those words that means something else. When you're reading evidence, for a rebuttal, don't read paraphrasing that's combining these words together. I know it's the exact same wording, but there's things in between the sentences that makes it hard.
It's just to make it easier for her to read.
No, they set the cards at the bottom.
Oh, the cards at the bottom. Okay. I just.
It's better because it's literally just typed up of what I highlighted.
Oh, okay. Sorry for one of them. I thought I missed one, but I guess if you guys don't know, it's there. So.
Okay, wait. So when you mean talking to someone, don't prompt your partner, basically, because you're.
There's just an instance in a speech where I think he was saying something and then you talked in the middle of the speech.
Yeah, it was prompting. Okay.
Yeah, prompting. Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Is it break the rules, or is it just not cool?
I mean, I've heard in the past it's against the rules. I just think it's kind of unfair because you have time to prep before and yeah. Just small things but anyways, moving on to how I evaluated the round. So first off on the MOU point, it's kind of a he said, she said situation because I know your evidence post-states, but they said that we can't tell for how long this is going to be stable for, and you don't really respond to that. But then I do get that you're saying it's stable right now, so I'm not really sure which side to believe because neither is really back to the evidence. You're saying it's stable right now, but you're not saying how stable it's going to be in the future, and they're saying it's going to be unstable in the future. And although theirs isn't back to the evidence, there's no real response on that. So at that point, I'm just not really evaluating that, and I'm not evaluating the Djibouti argument either. But I'm also looking on your side of the debate and on your argument of diplomacy, and the response to the president change just wasn't there. I know you guys said that the president is still carrying on the same things as the previous president, same frameworks, but there's no real evidence of that.
It's in our case.
That they're carrying on the same.
Yes, our case has Somaliland's new president over short speech on evidence.
Well,
I didn't explain it.
it wasn't extended properly to the point that I saw that in final. So I took their consideration that the president change made that can happen. So what I ended up voting on was actually the piracy term because that was the only thing that was cleanly extended in every speech. and there wasn't any contestation from your side on it, I think what would have been smarter for you guys is not to do weighing on time frame, but rather doing probability weighing, because you have two like Lincolns here. You have like the piracy turn, and you also have your Djibouti contention. So it makes a lot more sense to say like we have more possible scenarios that can lead to extinction or lead to like bigger impacts. So that would make more sense. But overall, I'm voting on piracy turn. I voted for Colin.
So wait, so basically you said like basically all the offense was just a wash, like on both the conventions basically. It was just hard to resolve basically.
Wait, what do you mean? Like
Like
for
if
which
the neg didn't
contention
extend the
specifically?
piracy lien turn, would it have been like a presumption ballot or something?
I probably would have like, yeah, it might have been, to be honest, because like, I think on like the MOU, it was just like completely he said, she said. Like not if you really provided evidence, and I don't really know who to believe on that, because you're saying it's going to be unstable in the future, and they're saying it's stable right now, but you never explained why what they're saying is wrong. Like,
Wait, I thought our argument was like it is unstable right now, like because the MOU being intact means that it is unstable, because the arguments rest on the MOU like not necessarily being intact.
I'm confused. It's like
Our argument was that because the MOU is intact, tensions are unstable because like no one wants the MOU to happen. So that's why we were going for the charter, because insofar as tensions are unstable for both votes, you're going to die regardless. So the only way is to like dismantle the MOU and like get grant recognition that's based on both Somalians.
wait, so what was the Muhammad evidence?
The Mohammed evidence is showing that the MOU like is still intact because attempts to dismantle it were not successful.
Okay, so yeah, you're saying it's still intact right now, right?
Yes, and that's
And
bad.
they said that.
We said that it's not. We said even if it's intact, like relations are good, because their argument is the MOU is intact, which makes the relations bad. We're saying yes, the MOU is intact, but it hasn't been acted upon, so relations are bad, or relations are good.
It's he said, she said.
Yeah, like I really like don't know who to believe on this, because the evidence is just like, I don't know. I know you have evidence right now, but then I know theirs is like an analytic, but it was just like never really contested, if that makes sense. Like, okay, but yeah, I'm gonna vote for Colin. I'll write a more detailed article, because I feel like that's just like off the top of my head, so it's kind of
Okay. Just one more question.
Yeah.
The Djibouti argument, like on the neg, what was the reason like you just didn't like at the end just didn't think there was offense on it?
Because they're wait, sorry. Look at the foot. I think I bought their arguments that it's like not probable and it's not in their best interest. I mean, I could probably see it another way. I just didn't want to really like evaluate it, because I just thought the cleanest place to vote is around this on the piracy turn. So I didn't really look too much into it. So I could potentially grant you offense, like, but I wasn't really buying the argument based on their evidence against it.
Or
So I think I just like looked at piracy, and the second I didn't evaluate, like, also another thing is that you didn't extend your contention in your final photos. Like, I know you just like went over it, but you should reread like what they do is like they like re-summarize the contention and not just extend it. Yeah, it's really dumb, but it.
I thought I did extend it. Like I extended it after the link. I like walked through the uniqueness, the link about like why they did, like the uniqueness about like the MOU.
You were like contesting it, but I would like a clear extension of the contention.
Okay, why don't we, like, this is just a question that I'm not trying to post around here,
Yeah.
like, did you evaluate the wing at all, where you think, like, everything was just too much of a wash on the offense?
I didn't evaluate the wing because all of it was like on the MOU, which was like your access to time frame wing was based on like your MOU argument, which I didn't.
I had a final question.
Yeah.
How do we frontline the new president? How would you have evaluated the diplomacy as a ability, or you still would have?
Well, I mean, you said you have a card in your case. I just didn't see that like clearly extended at all. You just said like
yeah,
oh,
that makes sense. I was just
Yeah.
wondering, like, if we had done that, like, how would that have changed? Like, cause how would that have changed your argument? Would that have meant that, like, because then it would be like a piracy and like a AU advantage, but none there's not much weight on both sides. So how would you have like broken the classroom?
Honestly, I probably would have like re-looked at Djibouti, see if I could grant any offense on that, and that would probably change things. But I think that like the second like MOU isn't clearly one on.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like hard, makes it hard to pick up for you.
Thank you.